Melissa Weaver had lived in Somerville all her life, a sleepy town nestled against the backdrop of dense, whispering forests and winding country roads. It was the kind of place where people rarely locked their doors and gossip spread faster than wildfire. Yet beneath its quaint charm lay a history steeped in eerie tales and unsolved mysteries. The most chilling story by far was about the disappearance of Amelia Barnes, a young teacher who vanished without a trace 2 decades ago. Amelia had been on her way to school one foggy autumn morning and simply never arrived. The police searched the town and surrounding woods exhaustively, but she was nowhere to be found. Wild theories obsessed the townsfolk. Some swore she had run away, while others believed she had been taken by the forest. Melissa, having heard these stories from childhood, had always dismissed them as just that, stories. That changed when she began receiving letters, unmarked and yellowed, slipped under her door at night. The first was blank, causing her to chuckle uneasily as she tossed it aside, but the subsequent one contained a singular smudged phrase, "Help me." It was the third letter that chilled her to the bone. It read, "They're coming. Don't trust the shadows." Each word seemed to tremble on the page, as though penned by a hand gripped with fear. Feeling foolishly curious, or perhaps compelled by something she couldn't articulate, Melissa resolved to investigate by daylight. The next morning, she headed to the local library to dig into old newspaper archives. Finding little more than a rehash of well-worn details about Amelia's last known whereabouts, her desk was soon surrounded by musty copies of town records and faded photographs. As she combed through them, an elderly librarian approached her cautiously. "You won't find what you're looking for in those," the woman said, a cryptic warning hidden in her watery blue eyes. Before Melissa could respond, the librarian slipped a slip of paper towards her, listing 3 names, and whispered, "They know more than most." First on her list was Henry Tolbert, the town's retired sheriff, now living alone on the outskirts of town. His small, sagging house was shaded by an imposing yew that seemed to swallow the sunlight. As Melissa knocked, the door creaked open to reveal a grizzled man with piercing eyes that assessed her sharply. "Sheriff Tolbert, my name is Melissa Weaver. I'm looking into—" "Amelia," he interrupted gruffly, narrowing his eyes. "Why now?" Melissa hesitated, her throat tightening with the weight of the letters in her bag. "I think she's reaching out, somehow." He invited her inside, his demeanor softening slightly. "There aren't many left here who might believe that," he said. As steam rose from their untouched cups of tea, Tolbert recounted that on the night of Amelia's disappearance, he'd received an anonymous tip. It led to nothing and was quickly dismissed, but the handwriting had matched the newest letter she showed him, an odd, spidery script that seemed designed to obscure the writer's identity rather than reveal it. "This town has secrets," Tolbert murmured, his gaze distant. "Secrets that keep themselves buried." Something unspoken loomed between them, and when Melissa took her leave, Tolbert watched her go with a weighty silence that spoke of long-held burdens and regrets. Next, Melissa visited Evelyn Green, Amelia's aged colleague. Evelyn lived in one of the few remaining Victorian homes, its paint peeling like ancient parchment. Despite the house's deteriorating facade, Evelyn's presence was an intimidating wall of propriety. "She wouldn't have just left," Evelyn said, her voice firm with conviction. "Amelia loved this town. She loved the children she taught." Melissa noticed the widow's sad eyes flickering towards a faded class photo on the mantel. "You are right to seek answers, child." Evelyn led her to the garden, where once beautiful flower beds were choked by tall grass. "She spoke of feeling watched, even hunted," Evelyn whispered. "Said the shadows moved when they shouldn't." Her eyes seemed to cloud over with the ghosts of those old conversations, and she sighed deeply, her hands shaking. Amelia believed something was in the woods. Leaving Evelyn's home, Melissa felt a magnetic pull towards the forest's edge. Towering trees bordered the town like colossal sentinels, and she wondered how many secrets they held in their labyrinthine depths. Her final lead was Jake Miles, a lone woodsman who had often ventured deeper into the woods than any sensible person. Jake's cabin was more of a shack, surrounded by the fetid odor of pelts hanging to dry. His skin was as weathered as the leather he worked with, eyes as sharp as a hawk's. "You shouldn't be meddling, Missy," Jake warned as she approached. He was cautious, reclusive, a man who understood the forest's sinister undertow. The woods aren't as empty as they seem. On the table beside them, an old map sprawled out in haphazard lines, marking trails nobody else in town seemed to recall. Some places should be forgotten, he said, tracing a dark, twisting path with his calloused finger. Melissa noticed a marker indicating a clearing, and beside it, words scribbled in hasty letters. Still there. "What's there?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Where things hide in plain sight," he said cryptically, eyes narrowing with intent. True to his strange map, Melissa embarked on a solitary trek the next day, threading her way through dense underbrush as twilight deepened the gloom. A shiver of static prickled the air, the forest unsettlingly alive with whispers and the snap of twigs. The clearing unfolded before her, unexpectedly pristine. The ground was bare, but for a single, solitary oak standing guard at its center. Its thick branches sprawled overhead, forming a domed canopy that seemed to swallow sound and light. As Melissa circled tentatively, something half-buried caught her eye. She pulled away the covering of fallen leaves to reveal a charm bracelet, tarnished from years of exposure. The initials, barely legible, read AB. Heart-pounding, she worked away the debris, uncovering a shallow, disquieting hollow dug into the earth. Her breath caught as she unearthed more relics. A hairpin, a broken comb, Amelia's monogrammed handkerchief. The site was a makeshift shrine, a catalog of forgotten, lost things. Just then, a chill descended, wrapping around Melissa in an invisible shroud. The sun had slipped behind the canopy, plunging the clearing into a thick gloom where shadows danced with unnatural life. A murmur brushed the edge of her consciousness, clawing at purposeful coherence. "Are you there, Melissa?" She staggered backward, heart racing, no longer certain of reality. The echo seemed to surge from the forest itself, a primordial force commanding attention. Before she knew it, she was running, foliage clawing at her clothes and skin. For days, Melissa was plagued by vivid nightmares. Each dream cast her at the center of the woods, the canopy of the oak encircling her, the relics burning bright in a spectral inferno. She could feel Amelia's presence, watchful, yearning. Whispered conversations marked her waking hours, a constant dialogue with something unseen, an entity whose nature Melissa sought but could never fully grasp. Someone among the townsfolk was responsible, a malevolent presence who had woven themselves into the daily life of Somerville. Reports of these chilling revelations left her a pariah. The townsfolk closed ranks, suspicious of her disturbing claims. Only Tolbert, Evelyn, and Jake believed in her. Or rather, they trusted her enough to respect her tale's gravity. And then letters resumed, new ones, more frantic, more urgent, pushing her towards the truth, but forever eluding her grasp. Until, in the shadowiest hours one cold November night, a deeper instinct awoke her. The silence around our room was heavy, pregnant with a story untold. Her eyes, adjusting to the inky darkness, caught a faint glow at her window. Stepping closer, she noticed the balloons and soft blossoms, hovering innocently. Yet there, among extremely peculiar shadows, was a figure, a flickering smudge hovering outside her window pane, a face she would have recognized anywhere, Amelia. Melissa staggered, the ghostly apparition stared at her with beseeching eyes. This was not an apparition of vengeance, but one of plea. With sudden realization, Melissa understood she wasn't the intended audience for these letters, only its recipient, due to some restless, supernatural hand that had blurred its direction. That evening, accompanied by Amelia's restless shade, Melissa slipped out of her house and ventured once more toward the forest, equipped only with a burning resolve and the hope that despite Amelia's state, her soul could find peace. As flares of dawn marked the sky, she reached the clearing, heart pounding. There, among the carpet of decaying autumn leaves, a patch of fresh soil seemed to breathe. Uncovering it carefully, she unearthed a journal wrapped in oilskin, its aged pages smelling of earth and time. In jagged handwriting, it was a litany of truths, star-crossed secrets and confessions, an admittance to deceit interwoven with bone-deep love, long buried. Amelia's own scared words identified her secret affair with a prominent town official, one whose influence was far-reaching, deadly. Vehement with her revelation, Melissa returned to the town, armed not with vengeance, but with the truth held in time's frail hands. It shattered Somerville's bucolic facade, revealing collusion and deception long ignored, cleverly hidden. While many townspeople sought to dismiss Melissa, citing madness and fantasy, Amelia's journal could not be so easily silenced. Days blurred painfully into nights as the story unfolded. Yet instead of triumph, Melissa felt a sanguine melancholy. Nonetheless, Amelia's voice fell silent with the dawn, blissfully reclaimed by her own story, freed from the clearing's haunting edge. Melissa felt a profound emptiness, but also realization, a hope that by revealing this tragedy, no more spirits would linger, whispering paths unknown. And so, Somerville changed, the lingering echoes of hushed conversations sublimating into secrets kept rather than entrusted to nightly winds. But those still attuned to the forest's murmur often paused, sensing the depths of woodlands shaken free of some ancient shadow, a curious twinkling between leaves, feeling its liberation.